What's up, guys? So today we're going to be talking about a video that, quite honestly, the only reason I'm talking about it is because I was on Facebook last night. I saw this video on the Daily Dot, and their headline was just totally misleading. And so is this one. It says, "Video shows police shooting homeless woman, setting dog loose on her." Okay, so obviously this is supposed to be a sensational title, right? But there's key information that makes it not as sensational as you would think, right? But the reason I'm talking about it is because I saw um, so many comments on Facebook about how this is police brutality and how this is why we need social workers instead of police and this and that. And I'm here to tell you that all of what I saw on Facebook was just pure ignorance. Okay, so what we're going to go through and we're going to show the video. It's only like 45 seconds long. We're going to talk about some of the stuff in this article that they say and how in this article they're wrong. They're just wrong. In multiple different paragraphs, they say false stuff, okay? So, and I can show you exactly what I mean when I say false stuff because guess what? In the video, it proves them wrong. Okay, so first off, uh, a newly surfaced video shows police officers in San Diego shooting at a homeless woman and setting a police canine loose on her. That is technically true, but as I'm going to show you in a minute, that is not the full truth, right? So, um, so according to, I believe, the person who recorded the footage, the woman in the video was sitting on the sidewalk and had earlier had an argument with another man. Things were quiet for about 45 minutes after their argument, and then Anderson heard sirens, she told Daily Dot. As soon as I got out on my fire escape, there were over 15 cops pointing their guns at her. Okay, so just full stop right there, right? So you see things were quiet for about 45 minutes after the argument, but you say that you go out onto your fire escape, and then you see that there's cops out there. Okay, so between when you heard her arguing with the person and between going out and seeing the cops, do you not think that there was possibly maybe a reason that the police were called other than the argument 45 minutes earlier? Because in the video, she's got a knife, right? I don't know about you, but if I'm walking down the street and I see somebody just standing there holding a knife or, doing anything with the knife, I'm probably going to call the police because I'm going to be like, okay, that person, that's not normal, right? You don't know because you didn't see what happened in those 45 minutes, okay? So you can't say, oh, you can't frame it and be like, oh, things were quiet for 45 minutes, okay? Because you don't know, you didn't see. Just because someone wasn't yelling doesn't mean they weren't uh, doing something suspicious or threatening, okay? So in the video, which is 45 seconds long, the woman is seen standing by her possessions on the sidewalk. She's having a verbal altercation with a group of 10 officers who are pointing their weapons at her. A canine police dog barks at her throughout. Uh, Anderson comments that the woman has a knife, though it's not clearly visible in the video. Okay, it it kind of is. Okay, because now most people are like, oh well, when you watch the video, oh I didn't see a knife. It's like, okay, you can have a knife that's not stainless steel that's made of carbon fiber that looks black. And from this distance, you wouldn't be able to see, what's going on. But the police wouldn't have their guns out pointed at this person if she did not have a knife. Okay? So, it's safe to say it's probably a knife. A few seconds into the video, the woman is seen flailing a piece of cloth. Okay, no, because she just said that it was a knife. And now you're just going to say, well, because it's not clearly identifiable, it's definitely a cloth. No, no, no. You say, instead of saying flailing piece of cloth, you should say flailing something, but don't identify it, okay? Officers shoot at her as she starts to run. An officer leads the canine loose, and the dog chases the woman as other officers run after her. She runs to the corner of the block, at which point she is no longer visible in the frame. 12 officers rush to the scene and form a huddle over her. Okay. Anderson told the Daily Dot she couldn't very clearly see because the officers were all on top of her. But she did notice a gash on the woman's face. How from that distance, can you see a gash unless it's bleeding a whole lot, right? And that could easily be from her being taken to the ground, right? Anderson said that the cops held the woman down for at least 15 minutes, and yep, uh, let's see, yeah, 15 minutes before the police came to take her. In her tweet, she said, "This is the result of calling the KKK cops on mentally ill folks. Is the inconvenience of noise outside your home really worth a life?" You're just assuming that somebody called the police because she was arguing with somebody. But in the video, it looks like she's got a knife, and there's pretty good evidence to suggest that she does have a knife, which leads me to believe that it's not because uh, of that, not because of the argument, not because of the noise that she was contacted by police. To me, that suggests that she was being possibly violent or threatening. Okay? So you can't just assume. You even admit that for 45 minutes, everything just sounded quiet and you didn't actually go and look until you looked outside when there were cops out there. Okay? So stop making assumptions. Okay? Um, it, it's just ridiculous. One user wrote, "Cannot adequately express how enraged I am. This victim needed mental health assistance. I was a social worker who dealt with hundreds of situations like this, none of which ended like this. Crisis intervention does not equal effing shooting." Okay, as I said before, this whole she got shot thing is very misleading. And I'll show you why in a second. And I'll say why the social worker idea is not always a feasible idea also in a second. But before we get to the video, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure to hit that notification bell so you know whenever a new video comes out. And please, please share this because I rely on my viewers to share my videos and spread my content. All right, let's get into it. So, we're going to watch this video and you're going to hear her straight up say that it was a knife, right? Okay, guys, so that's pretty much all the relevant part because the next, half the video is just them on top of her. Um, you can go ahead and watch it, but I mean, yeah, it's pretty much just them on top of her. But the part I wanted to talk about was that first part here. Okay, if you look right, I want to say just here, right here. This is the shotgun that was used to shoot her. The butt and the forward grip is orange. What does that mean? It's a non-lethal uh, firearm. Okay, I believe it shoots beanbag rounds because the way that he was shooting is not how you shoot rubber bullets, and rubber bullets I don't think would be what they normally use. I'm pretty sure they use that for riot control. So this is more than likely a beanbag round, and just so saying that they shoot her is technically correct, but they didn't shoot her with real bullets. She'll be fine. She was shot with beanbags to gain pain compliance, right? And have her drop the knife. But as you can see, she starts to run away. Now, their backup plan to that, because she started running, was to release the dog. The dog is faster than humans. Just that's just fact. Okay, so you release the dog, it catches her, takes her down, and then the police show up. They pile on, they get the dog off, and then they put her into custody. Right now, you tell me if that's police brutality or not. Now, some people say, "Oh, well, a social worker should have been there, not the police." And it's like, no, no, no. You can't have social worker instead of police because then you get what happened a while back. I don't remember exactly the story, but I remember that a social worker was stabbed because they were trying to deal with somebody like this. I don't know the context of it, but if you were to send just a social worker with no potentially non-lethal or lethal backup, then that's a problem. Now, could they have employed a social worker for this particular thing? Possibly, but from my understanding, there are more uh there are more um cops most likely readily available than social workers. And social workers with the type of training needed for a mentally ill person are even fewer than just the broad social worker category, in my understanding. So, just because you say, oh, well, there should have been a social worker, doesn't mean that there was necessarily one available on short notice when this person is flailing around threatening people with a knife. Okay? Because, as you saw here, the non lethal option didn't work. Who's to say that at some point that she just decided, okay, these police aren't going to do anything, and then start walking away? And if the police aren't allowed to take action because they're supposed to wait for a social worker, then wouldn't you be also outraged that the police did nothing when she goes and stabs someone? Because I watched a video a while back where the police gave somebody that was wielding a knife every chance possible. And then they ended up taking a hostage, and then they went to go and attack the hostage. The police shot and killed both the hostage and the person who was holding the hostage. So it really comes down to how much time do you think you have to to take care of the issue. If you have a lot of time, maybe call a social worker, right? But the social worker would have to be backed up by police. Now, with that being said, even with the absence of the possible social worker, this is not police brutality. There are other breaking stories that have come out in the last like day or two that are police brutality. Okay, there police brutality going on in another state where this guy for from all the evidence I've seen, all the stuff that I've seen so far, it's not definitive yet. There's still an investigation on, but the preliminary evidence, this dude gets shot in the back entering his own house, and he was not the subject of the investigation that they were doing, and he was shot and killed and died in his own home that he walked into. No apparent reason, as far as I could find. And that, I'm sorry, that's messed up. That needs to be investigated. That seems more like police brutality. A handcuffed subject on the ground getting kicked in the face. That's police brutality. Someone wielding a knife and being shot with non lethal beanbag rounds, which didn't work as we can see, so obviously didn't do that much and hurt that much, then running away into the general public away from the officers where who you can't see what's around the corner. Maybe there's people standing there videotaping what's going on with the police, and her running around that corner with a knife was threatening those people, and that's why they released the dog. You don't know, you can't see. But I'm willing to bet that they released the dog because she ran, because the beanbag didn't work, and they needed another uh, less than lethal option. So they release the dog, it catches her, she goes down because of pain compliance, and then they get on top of her, they arrest her, and then they take her. Now, it took 15 minutes for the ambulance to get there. It's like, okay, well, it's freaking downtown. What is it? San Diego? Yeah, it's downtown San Diego. There's traffic. Maybe there's only two ambulances, and both of them were on a call. And this is a not non-emergency because she's not dying. She's just hurt, right? And then they come, they pick her up, and go. You have to understand there's different time for things that like you think that just because you call an ambulance it's going to be there in 5 minutes. That's not the case. Sometimes they're out, sometimes they're on a call, sometimes there are different factors to the time it takes. Okay? And There's different factors when it comes to using lethal force. They could have used lethal force because she had a deadly weapon, but they didn't. They did it correctly. They used non-lethal, two forms of non-lethal force to take her down. And everyone's saying, "Oh well, but there were 15 officers, and you you could easily go and disarm her." I saw one comment that was like, "Oh, you have 15 plus officers, and anybody with like mild training can just disarm a knife." And I sat there and I'm thinking, okay, stop being an armchair warrior, a comment warrior, and take a knife defense class. You will find it is almost impossible to not get cut when dealing with a knife. It's almost impossible. No matter what you do, you could be the best, and you excuse me, you could be the best, and you will probably get cut. If you've ever done any training, if you've ever watched videos on YouTube, and actually watched videos, not those, Krav Maga, Kung Fu karate people who do a knife disarm in slow motion, and they're just like, it's so easy. You just grab the wrist, you bend it, and then you take the knife. No. No, no, no. Take an actual class or watch an actual video on real life applicable knife disarms, and you'll see it's very difficult, if not impossible, depending on who you are. So, my question then to that is, are you going to be the officer that first goes and tries to take that knife away? Are you willing to be that officer? Because me personally, I'm not. Not when I have a very easy non-lethal option to gain compliance, right? So why would I put my life at risk? And then they say, well, because there's multiple different officers, you could confuse her and all that stuff. It's like, no, no. Adding multiple officers means you could hurt multiple officers with just like one swipe of the knife. So getting the pain compliance is key. The beanbag round was supposed to gain the compliance. It was the most the less the least deadly, and I believe the least painful option, because it would most likely just leave bruises, and that's it, right? Then the dog is the other option, because obviously taser wouldn't work because she was too far. The dog then is like, okay, you get bit and then you get treated, okay? So all of the people that are sitting here saying this is police brutality, you are wrong. You're just wrong. Because if police can't use non-lethal um, items to get subjects into custody, what are they supposed to do? People are outraged when they shoot somebody justifiably or not. So guns are out, obviously, because people get outraged every time a firearm is used and the person gets injured. Whether or not they die, it doesn't matter. Firearm was used? No. Now people are saying, "Oh, you can't use tear gas. You can't use rubber bullets. You can't use beanbag rounds. You can't use a canine." Okay, what are they supposed to do? What? Are they just supposed to not have any tools at all? And every single time that somebody is a threat, they're just supposed to use their hands and just hope for the best? I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. Cops have different tools for different situations. This, in my opinion, was the appropriate response to this. Okay? Now, I at the end with the 12 people on top of them, I don't think that there was 12 people all on top of her. I think it was like max 2 or 3 to gain the leverage to put her hands behind her back, and everybody else was just kind of standing around watching. I don't think that there were 12 people piled on top of her, okay? But my point being is, this is obviously framed, this story is obviously framed in a way to make police look bad. Because the headline is police shooting homeless woman setting dog loose on her. This should not read that. This should this title should read, video shows police using non-lethal beanbag on armed woman setting loose dog on her. Okay? Because that's what happened. They shot her with beanbag rounds. They set the dog on her only when she ran, And then she was arrested, and guess what? She's not dead. Now they can book her, take her to the hospital, evaluate her, and then get her the help she needs. Okay? They didn't shoot her to death. Okay? So I'm sick and tired of seeing these terrible headlines that lead you to believe that what the police are doing is wrong. Does police brutality happen? Yes. Yes, it does. I'm not denying that. I'm saying in this particular case, it was not police brutality. And if you consider this police brutality, then you just hate all cops and no cops can ever do anything good at all. Because this was, in my opinion, like I said, and in a lot of people's opinion, because a lot of people agree with me, based on the comments to the comment I left, uh, they all agree that this was not. Okay? So, I would implore all of you who watch my videos to go ahead and do your own research into any type of video that comes out like this. Okay, because this was only 45 seconds, right? And it's very clear in this video, but some videos are not clear. I implore you to do extra research, take a deep look into footage that comes out, and if there's not really a clear answer, just watch. Watch the video, then wait and see what other information comes out. Okay? But I'm going to stop it here because I could go on forever. But if you guys like my videos, please like and subscribe. Go ahead and share this video with people. And I'll see you guys next time.